Halls of the Zerithian palace gleamed like liquid crystal under the pale light of 3 distant suns. Every surface reflected a rainbow shimmer, creating a world that seemed almost unreal. Yet, for Alex, a human man standing in the middle of the throne room, it felt terrifyingly real. He had never imagined a life beyond Earth, let alone standing here, handpicked to be the mate of an alien queen. His heart thumped in his chest, a mix of fear and wonder. Queen Lysera sat on her throne, her form elegant and otherworldly. Her skin glowed faintly like polished silver, and her eyes, large and molten, seemed to pierce straight into the human soul. She studied him with a mixture of curiosity and caution. The entire court was watching, their alien forms looming tall and slender, some with multiple limbs, some with glowing symbols floating above their heads. They whispered among themselves, their voices a chorus of disapproval and doubt. How could a mere human, fragile and mortal, possibly be the mate of a ruler like Lysera? Alex kept his gaze steady. He knew that showing fear or hesitation could end everything before it even began. He felt the weight of their scrutiny, the unspoken judgment that pressed on him like a heavy mantle. But beneath the fear, a strange calm had begun to settle. He thought of his life on Earth, the struggles, the fights, the small victories, and realized that this was just another kind of challenge. One he would face without flinching. The Queen's voice broke the silence, low and sharp. "Human," she said, her tone commanding, "do you understand what you are stepping into? This union is not merely ceremony. It is a bond of power, trust, and loyalty. One false move, and the consequences could be catastrophic." Alex swallowed hard, then nodded. "I understand," he said, his voice firm. "I will honor this bond. I will stand by you, and I will do what is right, no matter the challenge." There was a flicker of surprise in Lysera's eyes. Most beings bowed quickly and mumbled hollow promises, but he had looked her in the eyes. There was honesty in his calm, a quiet strength she could not ignore. She inclined her head slightly, an almost imperceptible gesture of approval. The Council of Advisors murmured, a mixture of astonishment and skepticism. Some muttered about human weakness, about mortality and fragility. But Alex did not falter. He did not bow, he did not falter. Instead, he stood with a presence that commanded attention. A natural dignity born not of title or wealth, but of courage and self-belief. The Queen rose from her throne, her tall, radiant figure casting a long shadow across the polished floor. "You will live among us, human," she said, her voice softer now, tinged with curiosity rather than command. "You will learn our ways, our customs, and our secrets. And perhaps, you will teach us something we have forgotten." Alex felt a shiver run through him. The enormity of the moment pressed on him like the weight of 1,000 worlds. Yet, he also felt a spark of excitement, a thrill that came from stepping into something so vast, so unknown. He was no longer merely a human from a distant planet. He was a participant in a story that stretched across galaxies. A story that would challenge everything he knew about courage, love, and power. As he took a careful step toward the Queen, the palace seemed to hold its breath. Even the floating lights above dimmed slightly, as if the universe itself paused to witness this human who dared to stand tall among gods. Lysera's eyes softened for just a moment, a flicker of recognition passing through them. Perhaps, she thought, this human might not be as weak as he seemed. Perhaps he was something far more extraordinary. And so, under the strange alien light, a mortal man began his journey beside a queen, unaware of the trials, dangers, and wonders that awaited him. A journey that would test him, shape him, and reveal a power even Lysera could never have imagined. The following morning, the palace was alive with a tension Alex had never experienced before. Alien servants moved silently along the walls, their forms shifting like liquid shadows. The air smelled faintly metallic, mixed with the fragrance of glowing Zerithian flowers that bloomed only under the light of their triple suns. Alex had barely slept, not because of fear, but because every sound, every movement reminded him that he was far from Earth. Standing in a world that defied all human understanding, Lysera appeared in the main hall, her steps graceful but purposeful. Today was the day she would test him. The Hall of Trials awaited, a place where countless mortals had faltered and failed. It was said that the hall judged not strength alone, but mind, courage, and heart. Alex followed quietly, trying to steady his breathing, trying not to let the weight of expectation crush him. The hall itself was a wonder of alien design. Walls shifted and twisted, floors rippled like liquid glass, and the air shimmered with invisible currents of energy. Strange symbols floated in midair, pulsating softly. Alex's pulse quickened. He had no idea how to navigate this labyrinth, no clue what dangers might lurk in its shadows. Yet, he refused to let panic overtake him. One step at a time. One careful step. The first challenge came swiftly. A massive creature, unlike anything he had seen on Earth, emerged from the shadows. Its body was translucent, revealing pulsing organs, and its eyes glowed a dangerous red. It hissed in a language Alex could not understand, yet its intent was clear. Attack. Alex froze for a fraction of a second. His mind raced. Then, instinct took over. He ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding the creature's sweeping limb. He grabbed a fallen metal shard and struck carefully, targeting the creature's weak points. It shrieked and lunged again, but Alex did not panic. He moved with a fluidity born of countless experiences surviving on Earth, combining observation, intuition, and human cunning. Lysera watched silently from a balcony above. She had expected fear, hesitation, or even a plea for mercy. Instead, she saw precision, courage, and calm. Something stirred within her, an emotion she had never acknowledged before. It was a strange mixture of pride and disbelief. This human. He was unafraid where others would have fled. The creature finally yielded, retreating into the shifting walls. Alex stood, breathing hard, but unbroken. He had faced death and survived not through strength of arms alone, but through quick thinking and steady nerves. He did not realize that this small victory had already altered the perception of the court. The hall shifted again, presenting a new challenge, a series of floating platforms suspended over a pit of shimmering energy. One wrong step could be fatal. Alex paused, assessing the distances, calculating each jump in his mind. He remembered training on uneven terrain back on Earth, the times he had to rely on balance and courage in situations far simpler than this. Step by step, jump by jump, he crossed the platforms. His heart pounded, but he focused on the rhythm of movement, the feel of each surface under his feet. When he reached the other side, the hall fell silent. Even the floating lights seemed to pulse slower, as if acknowledging his success. Lysera descended to meet him. "You are different from what I expected," she said softly, a rare note of admiration in her voice. Most mortals would have failed long before reaching this point. Alex shook his head, wiping sweat from his brow. "I did not come here to impress," he said simply. "I came here to honor the bond we share. If that requires courage, I will face it." For a moment, Lysera said nothing. Then, for the first time, her lips curved into a faint, approving smile. The hall had tested him, and he had not only survived, it had become clear that this human carried a spark the Zerithian court had never seen before. A spark of resilience, of ingenuity, of courage that even a queen could not command. And as the shifting walls of the hall returned to their neutral state, Alex felt a new confidence stirring. He knew the trials were only beginning. But for the first time, he also realized that being mortal did not make him weak. Sometimes it made him unpredictable. And in this alien world, unpredictability was a power no one could ignore. The morning sun of Zereth, barely touched the crystalline spires when whispers began to stir among the palace corridors. Alien voices, some melodic, others sharp like chimes of crystal, carried doubts and questions. How could a mere human, fragile and mortal, stand beside their queen? How could he survive the pressures of a world built for beings who lived centuries, whose minds moved at the speed of thought? The council watched from their high platforms, murmuring quietly, casting glances at Alex as if he were an experiment on the verge of collapse. Alex, unaware of the murmurs, moved through the palace with quiet determination. Each step felt heavier than the last, not from fatigue, but from the weight of unseen eyes and silent judgment. He had survived the Hall of Trials, yet a deeper challenge awaited him, understanding the alien ways and proving that courage alone could earn respect in a world so unlike his own. Lysera watched him from her chambers, her expression unreadable. She had expected fear, hesitance, even failure, yet Alex had emerged unbroken. There was something in his calm that unsettled her. It was not the strength of his muscles, nor the sharpness of his mind alone, but the quiet confidence that no test, no matter how alien, could shake him. For the first time, she felt a strange tension within her, self-curiosity tinged with uncertainty. That evening, she summoned him to the palace garden, a sprawling expanse of luminous flora and softly glowing streams. The air was heavy with the scent of alien blossoms that changed color with emotion, their petals shifting as if a leaf. Alex stepped carefully over the delicate roots, careful not to damage the fragile ecosystem. He had been taught to respect the palace's wonders, yet even he could not fully grasp their beauty. You have survived the trials. Human, Lysera said, her voice soft yet firm, carrying across the garden. And yet, you still face a court full of doubts. Do you understand what it means to stand beside a queen in this empire? Alex looked at her, taking in the subtle glow of her skin, the intensity in her molten eyes. I do, he said honestly. I understand that respect is not given lightly. And I understand that I must earn it, not with words, but with action. Lysera's eyes narrowed slightly. She had heard similar words from countless beings before, but there was a depth in his tone, a sincerity that she could not ignore. Many would falter before reaching this point, she said, her voice a whisper now, almost to herself. And yet, you do not. Why? Alex paused. He wanted to answer honestly, but words felt insufficient. Instead, he let the silence speak for him, letting her see the steadiness in his posture, the resolve in his gaze. Because fear does not define me, he said finally. And because I believe that being human is not a weakness. It is a strength. Lysera's expression flickered. The court had taught her that humans were fragile, unpredictable, and often foolish. And yet, here was one who faced impossible odds without hesitation, whose courage seemed to radiate from him like light. It was both unsettling and fascinating. For hours, they walked among the glowing streams and floating flowers, speaking little. The quiet moments carried weight. Alex began to sense the subtle power of the queen, not in her commands, but in the way she observed, judged, and learned. And Lysera, for her part, began to sense the unpredictable power within the human beside her, a power born not from longevity or alien technology, but from heart, mind, and courage, dot by the time the twin moons of Zereth rose over the palace, their silver light reflecting off the crystalline towers. Lysera realized that her initial expectations had been wrong. This human might not be just a mate in name or symbol. He might be something far more remarkable, something she could not yet fully understand. And as the night wrapped the palace in its quiet glow, the whispers of the court continued. But for the first time, Lysera paid them no mind. Her attention was fixed on the human who refused to be ordinary, the mortal who had begun to awaken a curiosity and admiration she could no longer hide. The calm of the palace shattered like glass when the alarm blared across the halls. Red light bathed the crystalline towers as the voice of the palace sentinel echoed through the corridors. Intruders in the outer perimeter. Unauthorized fleet detected. Alex's heart jumped, but he did not panic. He had faced the Hall of Trials. He had survived tests designed to break him. Yet nothing prepared him for this. The sudden reality of a threat so massive, so unexpected, it could destroy everything in minutes. He looked at Lysera, who now moved with sharp authority, her silver eyes flashing with both anger and disbelief. The rogue fleet was unlike anything Alex had ever imagined. Ships moved silently, their sleek, dark forms cutting through the sky like predators. Energy shields flickered under assault from strange weapons that defied Xyrithian defense systems. Guards scrambled, firing alien weapons that glowed with blue light, yet most of their shots passed harmlessly through the enemy's shields. The palace, once a symbol of unshakable power, now seemed vulnerable. Fragile, Lysera's voice rang across the command chamber. "Human, stand beside me. We will protect the palace." Alex nodded. He felt the weight of the responsibility settle over him, not just to survive, but to protect lives, to protect the Queen, to prove that being human was not a weakness. He moved quickly, analyzing the battlefield as he would have on Earth, thinking of angles, weaknesses, and improvisation. While the Xyrithian guards relied on their superior technology, he relied on observation, quick reasoning, and instinct. The first wave of attackers broke through the outer shield. Panic surged among the defenders, yet Alex's calm spread like a ripple through the chaos. He shouted precise instructions, improvising traps from palace architecture, rerouting energy currents, and directing civilians to safety. He was everywhere at once, organizing, defending, and attacking, not with alien power, but with strategy and courage. Lysera watched from the balcony above, her heart pounding in ways she had not felt in centuries. Even she had underestimated the human. He moved as if danger were a puzzle to be solved, rather than a force to fear. His hands were steady, his decisions sharp. And for every moment of chaos, there was a solution born from his quick mind. Then, the rogue commander approached the central gate, its massive vessel cutting a path toward the palace's heart. Xyrithian weapons faltered, energy shields shimmered and failed. Lysera felt a moment of helplessness she had not known in decades of ruling. And then Alex stepped forward. He revealed a small, compact device hidden beneath his robes, something that seemed almost insignificant against the massive alien fleet. But as he activated it, the air hummed with energy. The device emitted pulses that neutralized the raiders' energy shields one by one. The invaders, stunned and defenseless, faltered. Their attacks slowed, then stopped. Panic replaced aggression in their ranks. Lysera's breath caught. She had seen armies fall, planets bow to her command. Yet nothing in her vast experience prepared her for this, a mortal, a human. Turning the tide of battle with a device created from ingenuity rather than alien power, the fleet retreated, leaving behind silence and the wreckage of shattered ships. Guards and advisors stared at Alex with awe, disbelief, and newfound respect. Whispers of doubt were replaced with murmurs of admiration. Lysera descended to the central hall, her robes flowing like liquid silver. She approached Alex, her eyes reflecting both shock and something else, an emotion she rarely allowed herself to feel. "You saved the palace," she said quietly, her voice almost trembling. "I never imagined a human could do this." Alex shook his head, breathing heavily, but calm in his triumph. "It was not strength alone," he said. "It was quick thinking, courage, and refusing to give up. That is what makes a difference." For the first time, Lysera truly saw him not as a mortal mate chosen for diplomacy, but as a being capable of shaping destinies, a force that even the mightiest aliens could not anticipate. And in that moment, the foundation of her world shifted. The human beside her was no ordinary creature. He was a storm disguised as mortality, unpredictable, relentless, and extraordinary. As the palace repaired and the lights returned to normal, whispers of betrayal faded, replaced by admiration. Yet Lysera knew the greatest trials had only just begun. The Empire had survived today, but the bond between Queen and human had begun to deepen in ways no one could predict. And in the quiet corners of her mind, she realized she had never truly understood the true measure of strength until now. The palace was quiet now, but the tension lingered like a shadow over every corridor. The rogue fleet had been repelled, yet the Xyrithian court still buzzed with uncertainty. How could a mortal, a human, possess such skill, such ingenuity, and such calm in the face of impossible danger? The whispers of doubt were fading, replaced by astonishment and a hint of fear. Alex walked through the throne room, his steps steady despite the exhaustion that tugged at his muscles. He had faced the Hall of Trials, survived impossible creatures, and now defended an entire palace from a fleet of alien raiders. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Being human meant living on the edge of the impossible, adapting when nothing else worked, and finding solutions where others saw none. Lysera watched him from her throne, her molten silver eyes filled with a mixture of pride, disbelief, and curiosity. She had ruled empires, bent armies to her will, and faced countless threats over centuries, yet she had never seen anyone like him. He was mortal, fragile by all definitions, yet he moved with a confidence that no alien ruler could predict, no weapon could challenge, and no threat could break. A new alarm sounded, sharp and sudden. A deep vibration shook the palace floors, signaling that another wave of danger approached, this time from within. The council had failed to detect it. An ancient weapon buried beneath the palace, designed to obliterate intruders, was activating. The energy core threatened to erupt, tearing apart walls, towers, and the very foundation of the Zerethian seat of power. Panic rippled through the court. Lysera's guards froze, unsure of what to do. Even her centuries of experience did not provide a clear solution. And then Alex stepped forward, calm as ever. "I need to see it," he said, his voice firm, commanding even in its simplicity. Lysera nodded, her trust in him now absolute. He followed her through winding corridors to the heart of the palace, where the energy core pulsed with destructive power, its alien hum vibrating through the air. Alex studied the core carefully. He had no Zerethian technology, no centuries of knowledge, but he had human creativity, resourcefulness, and a willingness to risk everything to protect those he cared about. He examined the mechanisms, touched the conduits, and finally smiled. "I can stop it," he said, almost casually, though every second counted. Lysera raised an eyebrow. "How?" she asked, a mixture of skepticism and hope in her voice. Alex knelt beside the core, his hands moving with precision. He had secretly carried a compact human device, an Intric, a tool of his own design that could interface with alien energy systems. It was not brute force. It was ingenuity, the ability to adapt human thought to alien technology. Carefully, he attached the device, recalibrated the conduits, and synchronized it with the core's rhythm. The palace held its breath. Light from the core pulsed violently, energy crackling like a storm, threatening to tear the walls apart. Then, with a final adjustment, the core's destructive hum faded. Energy stabilized. The threat vanished. The ancient weapon had been neutralized. The room went silent. The council stared at him in disbelief. Guards lowered their weapons, still unsure whether to bow or retreat. Lysera's eyes widened. She had ruled for centuries, seen the rise and fall of empires, yet she had never witnessed immortal human control forces. She could barely understand herself. "You stopped it," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You saved this palace. Saved us all." Alex stood, brushing his hands clean, looking almost casual despite the enormity of his actions. "I told you," he said quietly, "being human isn't weakness. It's the courage to face what others can't and find a way when none exists." Lysera felt something inside her shift. Respect, awe, and something deeper, admiration, swirled together. She realized that she had underestimated humans, underestimated this mortal beside her. And now, for the first time, she understood that true power was not measured by centuries, alien strength, or glowing weapons. It was measured by heart, ingenuity, and the will to act when everything else seemed impossible. The court remained silent, every alien form frozen in awe. Alex, the human, had revealed his true power not through overwhelming might, but through courage, creativity, and an unyielding spirit. And in that moment, the Empire knew that the future had changed forever. The palace felt different now, quieter but heavier, as if the very air remembered the chaos of recent days. Lysera sat alone in her throne room, her silver eyes reflecting faint starlight from the crystal walls. She had faced countless challenges in her long life, conquered planets, and commanded fleets that spanned galaxies, yet nothing had unsettled her like the human sitting beside her. Alex had faced trials she could not imagine surviving. And he had done so not with alien power, but with courage, ingenuity, and an unshakable will. For centuries, Lysera had believed power was measured by strength, longevity, and control. She had believed mortals were fragile, limited, unable to shape destiny. And yet here was Alex, standing beside her as an equal, demonstrating in ways she could barely comprehend that courage and intellect could outweigh centuries of alien advantage. She rose from her throne and walked through the corridors, watching as the court resumed its duties, now respectful, cautious, yet still whispering in awe about the mortal who had saved them all. Lysera paused by a balcony overlooking the gardens, where streams of glowing liquid curved around luminescent flowers. Alex was there, kneeling to examine a broken conduit, repairing it with careful hands. Even in such a simple act, she saw something remarkable, an attentiveness, a focus, and a care that was deeply human. "You've changed everything," she said, stepping closer. Alex looked up, his expression calm, patient, yet carrying the weight of responsibility. "I only did what I had to do," he replied softly. "It was not about changing everything. It was about protecting what matters." Lysera's gaze sharpened. "Do you understand what you've done? You've shown my court, my advisors, and me something we could never have imagined. You've proven that humans, that mortals, can shape fate in ways even the strongest alien cannot." Alex stood and met her gaze, his eyes steady. "I am just one human," he said, humility in his tone. "But humans, we survive. We adapt. We find solutions when none exist. That is our strength. Not immortality, not alien power, but determination and the courage to face what others fear." Lysera felt a wave of realization sweep over her. For centuries, she had ruled through force, through fear, through unyielding control. And yet, here was someone who commanded respect not with fear, but with quiet courage and moral strength. He did not demand obedience. He did not manipulate or threaten. He acted, and the results were undeniable. "You've made me question everything I thought I knew," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I have underestimated humans. Underestimated you. I see now that strength is not measured in years or power alone. True strength is in the heart and mind." Alex took a careful step toward her. "We all have limits," he said, "but those limits are not the end. They are a challenge to be overcome. Being human does not make me weak. It makes me unpredictable, capable of seeing possibilities no one else can." Lysera's expression softened. A mixture of awe and something warmer, a quiet admiration, perhaps even affection, settled over her. For the first time, she realized that being beside this human was not a symbolic gesture or a diplomatic arrangement. It was a partnership, a union of two very different kinds of power, one immortal, one mortal. Yet equally significant. She reached out and touched his arm lightly. An almost imperceptible gesture that spoke volumes. "You have changed me," she whispered. "Not because you are alien or powerful or skilled, but because you are human, and I cannot ignore that truth." Alex smiled, a quiet, genuine smile that carried reassurance and warmth. "Then we face what comes next together," he said, and for the first time. Lysera understood fully. Power was not only the ability to destroy or command, it was the ability to inspire. To protect, to think, and to act with courage when all else seemed impossible. And in that human beside her, she had seen the embodiment of everything she had never known she needed. The palace, the court, and even the stars above seemed to shimmer with a quiet promise. The mortal beside the queen had revealed a truth that no alien could ignore. Humanity was extraordinary, unpredictable and unstoppable in ways they had never imagined. The twin moons of Zereth hung low over the palace, casting silver light across the crystalline towers. The air was thick with the quiet hum of energy, the residue of battles fought and dangers overcome. Alex stood on the highest balcony, gazing at the city below, alive with light and motion. He had faced trials that would have broken any ordinary being, defended a palace against impossible odds, and revealed strengths that even the most powerful aliens could not anticipate. And yet, in the stillness of the night, he felt only the calm assurance that he had done what needed to be done. Lysera joined him, her silver eyes reflecting the moon's glow. She was silent at first, simply watching him, trying to understand how a mortal human could carry such weight with grace and courage. Centuries of ruling, of commanding armies and fleets, had taught her to anticipate power, to measure it, to respect it. But Alex's human strength defied every expectation. It was not predictable, not measurable, not controlled by centuries of experience. It was raw, instinctive, and undeniable. "You've changed everything," she said softly, her voice carrying over the quiet hum of the city. "Not just the palace, not just the empire, but me. I never believed a human could do what you have done." Alex turned to her, humility in his posture but strength in his gaze. "I only acted as I could," he said. "I didn't need centuries of knowledge or alien power. I just faced what was in front of me and did what was right." Lysera felt a strange warmth in her chest, a mix of admiration and something deeper respect perhaps, but also awe. She had spent lifetimes believing that power was defined by might, longevity, and control. And yet, in front of her stood a human, mortal in every sense, who had accomplished more than any alien ruler she had ever known. The court, too, had begun to recognize the truth. Word of Alex's actions spread quickly through the palace, inspiring whispers of hope, admiration, and disbelief. The advisors who had doubted him now bowed with respect. Guards who had feared failure now looked to him for guidance. And the citizens of Zereth, hearing the tale of the mortal who saved their home, celebrated not just a hero, but a new understanding of human potential. Lysera took a deep breath. "I see it now," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "True power. It is not just in strength or skill. It is in courage, in will, in the ability to act when all seems lost. And you have shown it in ways I could never imagine." Alex smiled, a quiet, genuine smile that seemed to carry the weight of every trial he had faced and the calm certainty of survival. "Being human means we are limited in some ways," he said, "but unlimited in others. We adapt, we endure. We find solutions when none exist. That is our strength." For the first time, Lysera felt the depth of admiration that went beyond respect. This human had changed the way she saw everything, her empire, her court, her own beliefs. And she realized that she was no longer just a queen judging a mate. She was witnessing a force of nature, something extraordinary and rare, something that could reshape worlds. "I underestimated you," she admitted, her silver eyes meeting his. "And I will not again." Alex took her hand, warmth and reassurance flowing through his simple gesture. The moons reflected in their joined hands, a symbol of unity, courage, and the merging of worlds. He had proven that humanity, fragile as it seemed, could rise to heights even the mightiest could not predict. And in that quiet, radiant moment, the Empire understood a truth it could never forget. Humans were not weak. They were unpredictable, resilient, and unstoppable. They could defy expectations.